welcome to the locker room. I am Captain Paul. That's Fajardo. What's going on there, Fajardo?
Not much, just another day.
So, we're going to start bringing more live shows. We used to do our stuff recorded, edit it, kind of go throughout that, but we feel this is going to be the best way to reach the subscribers and have a fun time with it. So, if you come by, stop through, appreciate any comments. Let's get right into it, man. Let's go into the NHL standings here. It's looking pretty scary.
It's been a toss-up, my brother. It's some teams that we definitely did not predict being good are, proving us wrong, which is good to see. And then some teams that we thought would be good are just sinking down to the bottom.
Well, let's start with the Metropolitan Division. Right? Because let's start with the worst named one out of all of them. The New Jersey Devils.
Yes.
Absolutely on a tear. And it's been fun to watch them play. Amazing goal differential, plus 29. They are in a 13-game winning streak. And it's funny, right? Because there was points in the season where very early on the Devils fans were chanting "Fire Lindy," and then they had the infamous chant of "Sorry, Lindy." The way this team is turned around and kind of you're seeing that talent match, that maturation process of that young talent is amazing.
Yeah, I mean it's very scary. Jack Hughes is he's starting to find his way on the team. He's doing some things. He's starting to warm up. I mean, all of them are. It's crazy because this is the potential that you wanted to see if you were a Devils fan, and because of last season and a couple of the seasons prior, you thought that you weren't going to get this. You would hope, but a lot of times you can hope for things, but it doesn't necessarily mean you get it. And coming into the season, they were hoping to get what they've gotten so far. But they kept themselves grounded to we have a decent team. They should be okay. They should be able to play competitively. And at this point now, it's like, hey, we're playing way beyond competitively. We're they're looking like a team that can dominate and go into the playoffs and even take the whole thing. It's just been crazy.
I mean, so this is what I'll say here with the for me, the Islanders have been a pleasant surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Rangers have been kind of up and down. I think they're not necessarily hitting full stride yet.
Yeah, I think they have a Stanley Cup playoffs hangover, to be honest. Yeah, they just look like some of their players just look like they feel like they deserve to get certain calls, and they don't play as hard as they could. They're looking sloppy again. I don't know. It's a little bit of shambles, but to still be in mid-table with those problems is not a bad thing. But we can talk about them later.
So, I mean, Columbus has been awful. Kind of what we talked about in our our show, that goaltending was going to be an issue, and it has been an issue in there. Merzlikins has been injured now. Even before the injury, he wasn't playing great. The one that's looked the best is the rookie, and we'll kind of go further into that once we kind of go into the show. But one last team I'll just touch upon is they're not having an amazing record, but I am impressed by the Flyers' tenacity in which they play with. They're in the games night in, night out, and they're far better than I even thought they'd be at this point in the season. Because that team, I didn't really think of it in a very high light. But Torts is having them play hard, and that's it's commendable, right? They're not that far away from a playoff spot, and with the talent on their roster, that's a pretty big thing to say.
Yeah. I mean, well, we all know Torts. If you're a New York Rangers fan or fan of quite a few different teams that he's coached, you would definitely know that he's one of those guys that's not give. I mean, am I allowed to even say the words? Okay, yeah. I mean, he's not even allowed to. He doesn't really give a shit about how you feel. He's like, I don't care how you feel. This is what I expect from you. Whether you have 104 fever or you're 100% healthy, this is what I need you to do. Can you do it? If you can't do it, I need you off the ice. You know what I mean?
So it's a very old school mentality.
Yeah. So I think that for Philly, they needed some type of I guess managerial structure, some coaching structure where it's one of those where they actually, say, hey, this is it. This is what the stable is, and this is what we need you to do. And bringing Torton was definitely key for them. I think that for them, they can only go up from here.
Absolutely. Now let's go into the Atlantic Division here. Obviously, Bruins are a notable team. They've been on an absolute tear. They destroyed Tampa Bay last night because there was some conversation like, oh, they're just playing bad teams, which didn't really make sense. But I think they're one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NHL right now. And yeah, I don't. Anyone who thought the Bruins would have this hot of a start, like,
you're lying
to yourself. About that, I was very skeptical, right? Because I thought they didn't get. I think they're a little bit. I thought they were a little bit too old, but a new voice in the locker room just kind of rejuvenated the whole team.
Well, it's that, and you had some key injuries to start off the season. Nobody expected you guys to be able to continue without them until they got back, kind of thing. So, seeing that team, do what they had to do while the guys were injured, I think made the guys get healthier faster. They were they were like, the team's playing good without me. I need to get back on there, so they can't just say that maybe they don't need me. And they did the thing. So they're definitely one. I think the top team at the moment.
Yeah, other notables out of this division, I'd have to say, Detroit's done respectable for what they are. Florida's kind of underperformed, right?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone would be happy as a Panthers fan how they've done this far this season. Any thoughts on that?
Ottawa.
Oh, yeah.
They won the off season, right? They made a lot of good moves, improved their team, but it's not translating. I think you and I both thought that it would translate to a much better situation from them.
Much better.
It is early in the season, and they can turn things around, but definitely they're behind the 8 ball at this point. Same thing with Montreal. Montreal had, they may have named a young captain, but they still have some talent. And everybody thought they were going to be doing a lot better than what they're doing. And, it's kind of like, where are they?
Yeah, I definitely agree here. Montreal, I give a little bit more latitude because they're so young. But Ottawa's like, oof. That early season prediction ain't looking so hot. Western Conference Central here. This is probably the most even out of all the divisions. I'd say if one team has been slightly underperforming, I thought it was Colorado when they started out the season. I think there's a little bit of a hangover. Yeah. But it looks like they're kind of rounding into form now and come like a 3-game win streak. St. Louis, I made a video on them saying like they look abysmal and terrible. And as soon as I make that video, they win their first game afterwards.
They saw the video. They saw the video.
Yeah, I'll take all the credit. But it was funny, right? Now they're on a 7-game win streak, and they're back in playoff contention. I think that's what I was so aggravated with the Blues, because their talent was there. Binnington is a very good goalie when he's in the mood to be good. But he kind of is, elevated his game. Grice has played well, good in a backup role. So St. Louis has bounced back. And any other notables or comments you want to make in this?
Dallas. A lot of people kind of wrote off Dallas for not doing too much this offseason. The big question mark was around Ottinger. But here they are, right? Top of the conference. Top of the division. Goalie has looked stellar. Some of the acquisitions
they look great.
Have looked really good. And, they're at the top of their division. They're doing what they have to do. They're winning both on and at home and on the road. So for them, I think it's do you let anything fall from here? Because again, they made some acquisitions, nothing crazy, nothing super notable. Some questions that we'll talk about a little bit later on about one or two of their players, but it's just you did not expect them to be at number 1. You expected them to be like maybe top 5.
Yeah,
not,
top,
you know,
top 4 or 5. Yeah.
Yeah, but not number 1. And in Nashville, kind of like, I don't know, also kind of just like underperforming just a little bit because you thought that they would probably be on top. I think you called them out to be at top of the division, along with Colorado, exactly, because they have a really good defense. But it looks like they've struggled. They just haven't had it all the time.
Minnesota's been bad though too, right?
Yes.
Compared to like what we expected to.
Yes, we expected Minnesota to be number 2 behind Colorado, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct, and that has just not panned out. I mean, Fleury's looked good in stretches, bad in others. I think they're actually overworking him. I think he's too old to be playing that many games. Mm-hmm. And you know, between Chicago and Arizona, we predicted that. We predicted that. So yeah, let's get into the Pacific Division just to wrap up kind of like the overview thus far throughout the season. Yeah. Vegas Golden Knights, man. Bruce Cassidy, he gets jettisoned out of Boston, right? He's gone. And the Bruins go on this winning streak, right? So Bruins fans are like, yes, it's Cassidy's fault. No, not so fast. 15-4-1, 31 points. He has done a fantastic job rejuvenating this Vegas division, right? Within this specific division. And I think, you know what I think it is? Sometimes you just need a new voice. That's what I think Blackman in Boston. I think Cassidy comes in there with a fresh voice and some success. Yeah. And players are going to buy in. Because if you looked what he did with Boston, regardless if you had some arguments about some of the structure he'd have within his systems, he was successful. Yeah. So now you get more of a proven guy in there, and they look like a completely different team. They look like the team that was in the first season when they went to the finals, right? And it's been fun to see. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of things that we definitely will dissect a little bit more on with Vegas, because you kind of had a feeling that they would be a mediocre team, not as good as they have been as well. They're one of those teams that once they found the structure, it's panned out very well for them, and it's put a spotlight back on some people that used to have a spotlight and maybe don't have it as much anymore for the same reasons. But now you're looking back at them and you're like, well, can they still be that? You know, so we'll talk more about that later. But one of the teams that we definitely did not give any credit to that are doing what they have to do is Seattle. Yep. Seattle, we thought they might be like 2 or 3 years away from even being in the playoff hunt or competition. Man, that team, they look good. McCanna's doing what he has to do. He's carrying over there. You know, his back is a little bit sore, most likely, because he's definitely doing a lot of carrying. That guy, he can play. He can play. I watched him play against the Rangers the other night, and the guy's just he's a special kind of talent, and it's not super skills. That's not what it is. It's just the way he controls himself on the ice and makes the people around him better. Only elevates his game even more. It's just crazy.
So my thing is this, right? You got Burakovsky coming into his own, 15 points. You have Everly with 15 points, all like in 18 games played. You know, you're getting good secondary scoring. You have 6 forwards with 10 plus points, which is important for depth scoring. Mm-hmm. And then you got even Yanni Gourde and Borkstrand with just 9, so they could have had like a majority of the roster. So they're getting a lot of it from depth. There's no one on this roster, in my opinion, that is a superstar right now. Now, Beniers could develop into that. I like a lot of his game. He's got 11 points in 18 games. He's only 20 years old, just turned. I think there's a lot of potential to still there with Beniers. The one problem I do have with Seattle, I don't like how they dealt with Wright. And if you haven't seen that on my channel, make sure to check out the Shane Wright video. I think they're actually destroying his development. He's currently on a conditioning stint right now in the AHL for the Coachella Firebirds. And then it's kind of assumed that he'll go to the World Juniors after this for Canada, for Team Canada. But I think, in my opinion, at that age, especially with development already being so stunted, they should have just sent him down to the juniors, just let him play. Because of the way, as we both know, because he came from juniors and he's so young, he can't play in the AHL. He has to go back to juniors, right? And the only way he can play in the A is if he does conditioning stints. So he has to sit out for another 5 games next time he's up in the N, and then go back down to the A. And a guy like that, better off just getting him ice time, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's one of those. It's like the big question mark, right? Will it pay off? Is this is it gonna work? Or like you said, are they stumping his growth? Are they not allowing him to get into the right mindset or to grow properly? Or maybe this will be the way that he finds his game. We said when he got drafted and everything, he was a little overconfident in himself. Maybe is this one of those to help him control that ego? Maybe he finds that he needs to be part of the team and not just part of Team Right. Just saying.
That's a fact. I mean, and as for another team that I think is a little bit underperforming would be the Oilers. Jack Campbell has been a dumpster fire. I thought he'd be far better than he is, but to be fair, Skinner, who I wasn't that high on, he has looked great for the Oilers. But Jack Campbell has just looked like a shooter. That Toronto move has looked really fantastic. And, when they went with the Samsonov and Murray tandem, which I'm still not necessarily high on Murray, but I hope that he bounces back. But that's a whole conversation we will have for later. But, I mean, outside the Oilers, really nobody... Oilers
no. I'm going to have to stop there and just let everybody know. Another team that we definitely shitted on in our recap of all these teams and divisions, the Los Angeles Kings. We definitely thought they were going to be bottom tier of their division, their conference, everything. And here they are sitting in second place. They seem to have found new life. Don't know what it is that they're doing. Maybe they're...
Well, this is the thing. This is the thing.
They found it. They found it.
Kopitar, Ladardi, so 14, 15, 11 points respectively. You got Moore, Deneau, and Adverson, 16, 15, and 14. Then Fiala, Lysalt, and Kaliev, 18, 6, and 13 points. You have three lines scoring. Their scoring depth is throughout the roof, right? Through the roof.
Yeah.
Their goaltending, awful. But they've been scoring enough to kind of go around that.
Yeah.
Like, both goalies have a sub 900 save percentage. And that's where, for me, with the Kings, right? Jonathan Quick's a legend, right? He is. He's one of the better USA born goaltenders in history. But he's not what he used to be. And I'm still very suspect on the Kings because until I see Cal Peterson either get back to form or Jonathan Quick recapture that bottle, the magic in a bottle, you can't have both goalies under the 900 save percentage. It's just, it's not conducive to a winning environment.
It isn't, but they're finding ways. They're finding ways.
Yeah, that's true.
We can't knock them as much as we thought we would be knocking them by now. So kudos to them for finding their game.
Absolutely. So let's go into our first question.
Sure.
Let's talk about it. As the Ranger fan on this.
Oh man, here we go.
I have to ask you: do the New York Rangers regret trading Niels Lundkvist?
Wow, what a loaded question to start the show, huh? Okay, so. I said it, and I think I even said it in our breakdown of that move. I did not want him to go. I wanted him to stay and fight for a spot because I think it was good. I definitely think that, I can't say that they regret it, but they're feeling it. He still may not have cracked the roster here, maybe. But, he could have because currently the Rangers, like we have said before, not really playing the way that they should be playing or playing the way that everybody thought they'd be playing coming into the season. Like I said, I think they have the playoff hangover. They just don't look... They almost look complacent. And I want to say that's due to the lack of competition in the locker room, right? So whereas Lundkvist was there before, at providing like, hey, there's somebody on your heels that can take your spot, to, hey, it's just me. Nobody's going to take my spot. Like, we're good. We don't, there's nobody there. And I think that is what they're regretting, is they're missing that competition in the locker room to keep the young players continuously trying to be better because there's nobody there chasing them. The people that are behind them are nowhere near getting to them now. Lundkvist was one of them. The competition that they currently have between Zach Jones and Hayek, not really a competition. Hayek has a lot to prove, whereas Zach Jones is, he's probably more favored to get that spot. He has a lot of versatility, a lot of offensive potential, plays pretty decently defensively, even though he's a smaller guy. Hayek has kind of, like I said before in previous shows, kind of plateaued where he's at. But at the same time, that's it. You have nobody else threatening anybody for a job. Who do they have? Do they still have Tenorti? No, I forgot who they have on.
For the Rangers on the depth. Hold on, let me just double check right here.
I don't think they have anybody on defense, on the defensive side.
No, they have Hayek.
That's it, and he's like in the rotation. There's nobody, and I'm looking at their like their whole system or whatnot. The only person who could make a claim to get called up and stuff like that is a prospect by the name of Hunter Skinner. Yeah. He was a high prospect when he got drafted. He's been doing his thing. He's constantly been very good at whatever level you throw him at. But he hasn't broken the roster for the Rangers. Number one team whatsoever. So, yeah. But outside of that, no real competition on the defensive side. And I feel like the young players have gotten very complacent with that. And they've gotten sloppy. Like this, it just allows for too much. Yeah.
I think what it kind of comes down to it with the Lundkvist thing, right? I think they did mismanage this trade. I think that you don't give up on young talent. I was kind of okay with the deal because they got some draft capital back, but this guy put up really good numbers with the Wolfpack. AHL numbers don't always translate to the NHL. I will fully disclose that. But watching him play with the Dallas Stars, he would easily be in the top 4 for the Rangers. I mean,
and hold on, so it wasn't that they they moved him because they wanted to. He forced the move.
But he forced a move because he was tired of being in the NHL. He wants to make his NHL money. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe the long run, Zachary Jones turns into something special as well. But small sample size, so let's not jump over the fence here. But in 19 games played, 1 goal, 4 assists, 5 points plus 2, and then he had that highlight reel goal, right? Where he just nipped it off of out of Florida Panthers goalie fucking Barossi. But I think the thing here is that if I look at this Rangers decor, I'm gonna click on over. Keandre Miller, I get he's a big body. Trouba, not gonna trade him. Lindgren, he's okay, he's solid. Fox, Fox is Fox. But I look at Zachary Jones, I look at Schneider, I look at these guys, and I'm like, are they better than Lundkvist? I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, I mean, if you look at these guys, right? So the big thing here is he was competing for right defense. Right. So he wasn't competing against Jones. He wasn't competing against Lindgren or Miller. He was more competing against Trouba, Fox, and Schneider. And based off of the performances that they provided last year, Lundkvist was an odd man out because Schneider just kind of beat him to him. He's a little more stable, a little bit more of a physical presence, whereas Lundkvist it was more of a offensive, right?
He's a puck mover. Yeah, I'm just saying that I think this also depends on who they draft, right? And the Lundkvist, the assets they acquired. So this isn't done now, right? Let's say they draft a Hall of Famer in that draft pick, then they win. But it's it's a very interesting conversation to have because I think there's a lot of nuance there with that situation. I think Lundkvist has played well for the Stars. I think he fits a hole that they desperately needed to fill. And I mean, quite frankly, I think for a long time, I think Neil Lundkvist for a long time is going to be a very solid defender.
Yeah, 100%.
You know?
I really so to answer the question, I don't think they regret it, but I do feel that they're feeling the effects of that trade.
Mm. Well, talk about feeling the effects, and this in a more of a positive manner. We're talking about the New Jersey Devils and their
Woo!
surprising start, and kind of talked about a little bit on the intro, but let's get right into it. The New Jersey Devils, they're a cheat code right now. They're absolutely destroying teams, playing
Yes, they
extremely
are.
well. They have zero cap space, so they're spending their money to the market. And I mean, let's go to the depth charts here. Let's kind of look at this roster and talk about how phenomenal a lot of these players are starting to look here.
Yeah.
Heeshire, Nico has looked really good. 22 points, 9 goals, 13 assists, and 18 games played.
Uh-huh.
The most important one here for me is Hughes.
Yeah.
21 years old, 7 goals, 14 assists for 21 points. He's hitting that potential,
Yeah.
right? And like Jesper Bratt, they got him, I believe, in the 6th round or something like that. And like 8 goals, 16 assists for 24 points, 19 games played. Like phenomenal. And even the third line, they got a couple players over 10 points per game. I mean, sorry, over in 10 points in the season. Miles Wood's got 10 points in 19 games. Like they're getting nice secondary scoring here. And I think a lot of the team's success though does rely on Heischer, Hughes, Bratt. They're really kind of filling in and kind of reaching that potential. And if I'm a Devils fan, what I'm mostly excited about is who's the most successful people on this team? 23, 21, 24. Like all of them are young. So that means, or should mean, that this team should have a very good run going forward. Not just this season, but in the future, if they properly use other assets and kind of build around these young players, they could be looking at having a dominant team for quite a bit of a time. This could go back to maybe the Devils' time when they used to have Brodeur, Scott Stevens. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I remember those teams. Yeah.
What are your thoughts thus far?
I mean, they've definitely found their cheat code, right? Up, down, left. But one of the more surprising things was a little bit of a resurgence of Tatar. He's kind of finding his game again. And I think it has to do with the youth surrounding him, whether it be the defense, whether it be the other forwards he's playing with. And it looks like that for most of the older players who a lot of people wrote off, including us, right? We knew that the talent was there. We knew that it was available for these players to play big roles or key roles and do something with this team if the younger players were able to do something special. Right now they're doing something special, and sure enough, those key players, they're finding their game. They're doing what they're known to do, and performing at the high level that you wish they would have been, playing for the past couple of years. Yeah. So here they are doing what they got to do, and even the goaltenders for them have been playing out of their mind. Akira, I mean, look at his save percentage, 941. That's video game numbers. I
think I'd also be remiss not to mention that, like, John Marino, that trade that they got, I think it was from Pittsburgh. That was phenomenal. He's looked great here. Hamilton's done his thing. I mean, defenses look really good. Braden Smith, the
surprise,
constant utility man.
Yeah, he's surprising.
He doesn't like to leave the New York State area.
He loves us out here.
Yeah, but Vanacek is the starter. 918 save percentage, 9-1 record, the 2.14 goals against, and then like Schmidt, the rookie who's kind of stepped up. He's 941 and a 1.35 goals against. That's absolutely fantastic numbers. You're hoping Blackwood can kind of get to form though. You don't want to keep relying on a young goalie, but hey, maybe he's hot hand. But like Blackwood is out for 5 more weeks.
Let's face some facts here. If you were an owner, what would you do if you had this tandem playing as hot as they're playing, and Blackwood comes back?
I wouldn't mess with it. I wouldn't mess with it because especially when you're like Schmid's at 850K, like that production, like that's not bad. I mean, the Devils have such a good team around them. They just need a guy that can get in front. Vanacek has made some really nice saves this season, so I'm not trying to throw him like, oh, it's easy for him.
So what do you do with Blackwood if this continues?
Honest opinion, I would look into. I don't know. Devils fans, when the video I made about the Devils and their start, and I thought I even mentioned that Blackwood needs more. Some people say, oh, well, Wood makes the big saves, Woods does this, and I'm like, I get Blackwood has potential, right? He's only 25 years old. He was kind of looked at as that potential, like, franchise guy. Mm-hmm. I just don't think it's going to happen. I'm not as big on Blackwood. I think 2.8 million is even rich for him. I'd be looking into trading him. You know, like especially if this rookie goalie keeps being consistent and doing well. I mean, what's the point of wasting a roster spot on a guy that can't stop a beach ball? You know me, I'm all about like production and all that, and like it's not like this kid has come in here and done a bad job. I mean, he's got a decent resume. You know, last year for the Utica Comics, he went 38 games played, 911 save percentage, 2.60. Now, mind you, last year when he got called up, he did awful in his 6 games, but the Devils weren't that great of a team. But he's looked pretty steady. I mean, it's just a thing. Is like, can Blackwood get to what he used to be? I don't know. I truly don't know at this point.
Or does Blackwood need a new home? We spoke a little bit about this when we were going over all the teams, and we did a full breakdown where we said that we thought that maybe they threw him into the starting role too soon, and it could have ruined him. You know, and we're not saying he's ruined, and we're not saying that he can't come back and be a superstar with the Devils, but if the things that have been going on continue, he'll be the odd man out. And if he's the odd man out, right, could he still find his game and, you know, be a top 10D in another team? Maybe he just needs a new some new sceneries or whatnot. Yeah. And I mean that, you know, it kind of falls into that category of like, was it too soon to have made him the starter a couple of years ago, or maybe. You know? Maybe.
I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see. I hope he does bounce back. I don't like guys, you know, just falling off because of stunt and development. Hopefully, he kind of figures out his game. Now, I mean, I think I'd be remiss to not talk about the hometown team, the team that has been dominating the league, the team that has blowing my expectations out the water. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. Like, oh, I expected this. No, I did not expect this.
He did not, people. I can comment speculate on that one. He definitely did not. He was even humble enough to put the Rangers over them. Just saying. And I appreciate you.
I mean, but like, well, I mean, I think the Rangers have underperformed, but I also think nobody saw this coming from the Bruins, right? So
not at all, no.
Patrice Bergeron does Patrice Bergeron things. Got 1,000 points last night. Hall of Famer, amazing player, one of the best two-way center in the game ever. You got Brad Marchand with 15 points in 11 games. And that's a surprising thing. I didn't expect him back until late November. He came back early, especially with a hip injury. I didn't see him coming back that early. Jake DeBrusk, 15 points in 18 games. He's looked really good as well. Pavel Zacha, done his thing, 12 points in 19 games. 14 for Krejci. 29 for David Pastrnak. He has been on a tear. Taylor Hall with 13. Charlie Coyle with 9. Craig Smith has been bad. If you're gonna nitpick, Craig Smith has not looked good. Nick Foligno with 11 points. He had like 2 goals all last season. He's doubled his goal total already. 4 goals, 7 assists. And AJ Greer, the preseason hero, he's looked good. 7 points in 14 games played. So I think up front you're getting a lot of offensive punch. I think they can score in all 3 and even 4 lines. And yeah, I mean, I really do like what I see from this Bruins team. I need to see a little bit more from Craig Smith. But on the forward side of things, I mean, you can't complain. Like, you're looking at a really good talent value here. A lot of these guys, like Bergeron at 2.5, that's a steal. Krejci at $1 million, that's a steal, and that's obviously a hometown discount for 1 year. But I mean, yeah, I've been super impressed with the offensive production I have seen.
Yeah, I mean they kind of have it all, right? They model themselves after one of the New York Ranger lines with the check line. I ain't mad at you. Do what you do. But that check line I think was one of the key points to their hot start.
Well,
right?
actually, I have to say this, right, because on here it's wrong. It's usually Krejci, Pasternak, and Hall. I don't know why they kept this, but it's usually Krejci, Pasternak, and Hall. Now Zaka due to injury will kind of go up and down the lineup.
Okay.
But that line has looked good once Krejci came back, because it was Zaka, Hall, and Pasternak at one point. So I think Cap Friendly jumbled up the lines a bit here.
Okay.
But yeah, like I think I don't want to be rude or correct you, but it's just the want to let you know that.
Well, that what the second line, right, with Krejci and Pasternak, Zaka in and out with Hall. I think that was the crucial line for them. Yeah, Bergeron's going to do Bergeron things or whatnot, but that second line found their offense pretty early.
Yeah.
And I think that contributes a large part of their success, because you knew what you were going to get. Top defenders defending that top line, and they're going to score, they're not going to score, whatever the case was. But we talked about them looking for secondary scoring, and they got it early. That second line just came through and started doing stuff, and it opened the game up for the third and the fourth line to also contribute. And I'm not saying they're going to be major contributors, but they're doing a lot of things right now. Everybody's contributing, and that's huge for any team that has question marks with their offense, even with their defense, is when you have a full team culture that kind of just supports each other and pushes each other and helps each other reach that next level. Yeah, I mean, that's tough to beat, because now you have an entire team coming at you in every player.
Absolutely. And I think Nick Foligno he's been my most impressive player.
Resurgence.
He had a complete resurgence. That's why I'm mostly impressed with him, because I thought he was good.
Yeah, you call him dog, so you wanted him off the team.
I did want him off the team. But hey, that's why I'm here and he's there. All right? So defense. Hampus Lindholm, fantastic season, man. When McAvoy was out, he stepped up and filled that role. He was the number one defenseman for the Ducks for years, and he kind of validated that $6.5 million contract. He played fantastic. He's looked great. He's hit another gear. 18 points, 19 games played. McAvoy being back, 9 points in 6 games. He's looked really good. And I mean, if I'm gonna say the biggest surprise for me out of everybody on this roster, Connor Clifton looks like a completely different defenseman. It's like he's taken that role when there was injuries, and he stepped up his game. Because you know what? I'll be frank. He's another guy that I was like, could take him or leave him. Because he was very Jekyll and Hyde, but it looks like thus far in this season, maybe it just took an extra time, another year to click. But he's looked good. He's played defensively responsible. He's played physical, and he's making smart hockey players. Because Cliffy hockey used to stand for really good players are like, what are you doing? Right? It's Connor Clifton has been a really good surprise. I can't be mad at any of that.
I mean, let's talk about your goalie tandem here. I like Allmark, what he's been doing. Again, another goalie who has video game numbers. Doing really well. Swayman he's played pretty well too. Obviously he had a struggle in one game, but outside of that, he's been playing pretty decently. And that's what you want from your backup. Especially for Swayman, who's still in the development phase of his career. I think it's huge that he continues to grow behind a goalie, who's kind of seen a little bit more action than him, who now has to deal with taking on the spotlight, and doing what just needs to be done. And with this team, overall, one of the big keys is that they are. Oh God, I hate saying it, but they are cup pedigree, right? They have that experience. They've been there. They've won it, and not that long ago. And the core members of those teams that won the cups are still there.
Well, it's been 10 years. It is actually. It's been a decade.
Okay, talk to a Rangers fan that waited 50 years before they got one. Just saying.
No, like I agree. Like I think Linus Ullmark has played fantastic this season. It's like maybe he just needed a year of transition.
Yeah.
Because you saw flashes of this in Buffalo, but like he's playing square, playing big. He's making the big stops in the needed times. 13-1 record says it all. That .935 save percentage at the time of this recording, I think is number 1. Same with the goals against average. And Jeremy Swayman, like to his credit, like he had that one really, really bad game that kind of tanked his stats because he hasn't played as many. But he played good. He only let up 1 goal in his last start, I think, off of 18 or 19 shots, if I'm recalling correctly. So he's looked good. The thing I like about this tandem is that you're not pushing him to start. Like let him get some games, backup role, and let him come along slowly. That's what worked when Tim Thomas was here. With Rask sat behind Thomas for a couple seasons, and then he flourished into one of the best goalies in Bruins history. I'm not saying Swayman's going to become that, but it gives him the chance to do that. And they absolutely love one another from their celebrations, as you can tell. So it's a very supportive tandem here. So it's not a toxic situation. The one thing I will point out is Derek Forbort was playing amazing before he got hurt, and I could really see him. I could really see Derek Forbort. Once he comes back, like that's good. Like he'll replace Anton Strawman, but the defense will get even better for the Bruins. So I think for this team, it's cup or bust. I don't see any other team. I don't see any other time, I should say, like where they're going to be able to replicate this type of success, this type of talent on the roster for these price points. So this is their year, and if they want to win a cup, this is the year to do it because Krejci, Bergeron. Like a lot of these key players will not be here. It's a contract here for Pasternak as well. So
it's the last golden years.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting things how go here. So let's get into. We went to the highs. Let's go to the lows.
Ugh.
Ottawa, why you got to do us like this, man?
Tears. I'm wiping the tears.
I was so sad because I legitimately picked them to be top 4. In their division, and Daddy was wrong.
Oh man,
some $5 million cap space, but let's look into it. To the credit of Stützle, Tkachuk, Batherson, they've done pretty good. Tkachuk with 22, Stützle with 18 game played, 14 for Batherson. The Brinkat, he's looked okay, 14 points, 18 games played, only 5 goals. Hopefully he keeps heating up. Claude Giroux has done well, 18 points, 18 games, but the decor has not looked good. When I did a video on the Senators, I actually watched a few of their games, and when their defense decides to do things, it's kind of baffling. Like the defensive structure of the Senators is confusing because it's a lot of 2-on-1s, a lot of like jailbreak situations where you'll have a guy like on the left side breaking out, and the other defenseman's completely spaced terribly. And I don't know if it's because it's like youth and experience or just not just not the right structure in place, but the defense looks kind of suspect. Barry put it nicely. Goaltenders, okay, not great. But I'll say this, with this amount of firepower up front, you just need an average to above average defense, and I'm just not seeing it, And it's like the numbers here, like if you look at the plus minuses, they're not that bad. But if you watch the games, it's like some of the moves. It's like what? It's weird. It's very weird.
If you watch the games, you question what they're doing. They just look like, oh my god, you almost want to say like amateurs trying to figure out the pro game.
Yeah, I think what plays into it is Sanderson's 20, Brandstrom's 23. Thompson is 22. Now, but you have some veterans like Holden, Zub, and Hamonic, but like it's like with those veterans, even it's not like they're super amazing veterans, right? Hamonic, he's good when he's healthy. But I mean,
I mean, you gotta, you can't. We're sweetening it up, right? And we can't. Like, this is one of those. We said it, coming into the season, right? We said the likes of Hamonic, Nick Holden, bringing in these older veterans and leadership would strengthen out their defensive core, and it has not. They got an F when it comes to the grading, when it comes to how they help shape the defensive core. They're not doing a good job. They're doing silly mistakes. They're lucky they even have any type of structure at all on the defensive side right now. It just isn't working.
It's to the point where, like, they lost 6-4 to Ottawa like a couple weeks ago. Sorry, let's 6-4 to Vancouver. Misspoke there. And like, Vancouver is awful. Like, and it's just, there's not much decoy now. It looks like, last few games, San Jose was terrible. That was a 5-1 loss. But before that, 5-1 loss, another big old goose egg. But when they played Buffalo, only lit up one. Played the Islanders with a 4. Like, they're just not very good defensively. They got to clean that up on their own end to even be considered a contender or even a playoff bubble guy.
Now I'll ask you, with a team like Ottawa, considering the division that they're in and the competition level that they're seeing, could it be one of those where their defense would be good if they just sit back a little bit more rather than trying to emulate the other teams around them where they get more involved with the offense? Could it be that they're trying to do things that they're not accustomed to try to help the offense do more?
I mean, I think what I've seen is that it's just the defense is like poor, and it's not just on strictly defensemen. Sometimes the centerings positions, it's like you're not giving your guy a breakout, right? I don't know. I'm completely surprised how underperforming they've done. Like, listen, they're dead last in the Atlantic, right? Buffalo, who has been on an 8-game losing streak, still has more points than Ottawa. So it's not a stretch to say they've been a massive disappointment and a letdown. I think that, you look at a team like Ottawa, and I'm looking at a lot of these contracts, and I'm like, on the defensive side, like, a lot of these guys are going to be gone within next year, or this year, or next year. Maybe this is something where you just start completely fresh.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a very valid option here.
Because I don't think honestly, when we did our review, Derek Brassard was not even considered to be a player that would be playing. He'd be a backup role type center. But here he is having to play, and I'm not saying he's not good. He has skill. He's always been a third, fourth line type of center. But because of the shape and form of the team at the moment, I think that they're looking for more from some guys like that. Derek Brassard, Giroux, guys that are older and don't necessarily have a lot left in the tank. Especially if you're trying to carry a team type of thing. I don't think they have that in them. Right. But they just really, I don't know. The younger players have to find their game. Strutzel needs to do more. I mean, to Chuck, you came in here for big money, right? You gotta. Well, you've been there. He's got to. Not saying that he hasn't done much. He's got 22 points so far. That's a lot, but do they not have a voice in the locker room?
I mean, but I think, like, Stützle is like 18-18, so like that's good. I mean, quite frankly, outside of the top two lines, there's not much there.
Yeah.
Mott's looked okay.
Yeah.
Watson, like Kelly Gamble, there's not much there. There's not much outside the scoring. I think that's what you're running into. You're running into teams with more depth scoring. The Atlantic is probably the best division or second best division in the NHL. It's extremely deep, and you can't get away with two good lines. You need a full good lineup. I'm not saying you need to have a 30-point scorer on the third line, but like at least one or two guys double digits.
That wouldn't hurt.
You know what I mean? So, And let's kind of wrap it up with goalies. I mean, Talbot, he started off the season injured, so that's why he's only had 7 games played. But 909 save percentage, 2.80 goals against with 1 win, 4 losses. Not a bad record. I mean, not a bad stats considering his record and the team in front of him.
Yeah.
Anton Forsberg, 13 games played, 3.43 goals against, a 904 save percentage. 4
So
wins, 7 losses.
I mean, based off of numbers, the goalies are doing their job.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just the team defense in front of them is letting them down. It's not the goalie's fault. Just look, save percentage. They have over 900, both of them.
Yeah, I mean, and like that's not a all-star numbers, but like league average, I think is around 910, 915. I'd have to double check that, but usually that's what it is on the years. But I think they're a little bit below league average. But I'll be really frank. Like Brandstrom made one play that was so boneheaded. I'll have to find the clip where he like literally made a beautiful breakout pass to the wrong team, and it was just a 1-on-0, I think, on Forsberg. And I was like, oof. So I just think youth and experience on some of the back end is kind of kicking in here. But yeah, they've underperformed. They've been a really bad team this season. I'm hoping they turn it around. But you know, anything else to say before we get into the last one?
Nope.
So one thing here, I have to say this. Jack Eichel, right? Reached over 400 points. You know, he's had a pretty good career thus far, correct?
Yes.
Do you think this? Do you think Jack Eichel is more of a role player than a star player?
I would 100% agree with this. I would say that he is a role player. He needs somebody else to be the leader, and he can support that player because it takes the pressure off of him. I think that all the pressure he had when he was in Buffalo proved that he's not a pressure player to that degree. And now that he's he's not the leader, he's not the go-to guy, not having that pressure every single night to have to produce so much, I think that's why he's finding a stride with Vegas. It's because all that pressure isn't there. Hey, some guys are not built that way. Some guys can't take the pressure, you know, or they'll crack under the pressure. Some guys are just made to be really good players that can help other people. So, in this scenario, I think that Eichel is a great support player. Very skilled. He can do a lot. Just don't make him the focal point.
So, I'll agree and disagree in some aspects, but I'll get more into the conversation once. Let me say stats. In 20 games played this season, 10 goals, 14 assists, 24 points. So, phenomenal, right? Plus 15. There's been individual plays where Eichel has set up or scored the game-winning goal. I think Eichel is... Let's look at his career. Let's have this conversation. So, in Buffalo, he was there for Buffalo 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons. First season, he had 56 points, rookie year. Second season, 57 and 61 points. 61 games, good. 64 points in 67 games, good. 82 points in 77, extremely good. 78 points in 68 games, elite. In the shortened season in Buffalo with only 2 goals, 60 assists, he still had 18 points in 21 games played. Obviously, what happened in Buffalo happened in Buffalo. So then he gets moved to Vegas. Came back last year, didn't look like the same guy. 14 goals, 11 assists, 25 points for 34 games. But this year, it looks like he's back to being Jack Eichel. I think the thing here, I agree with you to an extent. I think Jack Eichel is not a leader by trade. I don't think he's a leader by trade in any way, shape, or form. Is he an elite level player?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think some of I'll bring up the Vegas Golden Knights here. Is that I think some of the problem is that when he got drafted after Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid has like 700 something points in like 500 plus games he's played. But that's an unfair comparison because like I hate to say like nope, everybody kind of knew like after McDavid it's going to be a little bit of a drop off with Eichel. Still going to be a great player, but is he going to be a McDavid? No. And then I could even argue I think McDavid at times, especially in the last few seasons, has had far more talent around him. I think this is the best team Eichel has been on. I think what meshes here is you got, you know, Stevenson is kind of meshing with him with 19 points. Stone is meshing with him, and Stone is known as one of the best two-way wingers in the league with 17 points in 20 games. I think in this Vegas system, right, it's conducive for him to be successful because it's not just him alone. When he was on Buffalo, right, I don't know if Skinner was there at that point. He might have been. I think, yeah, Skinner was there at that point.
The last couple of seasons,
yeah. He had a little bit of help, but he didn't have that much. I think this is the most talented roster he's been on. I think the most, like, you got Riley, Carlson, Marcia Stowe. Like, you got some good secondary scoring here. And I think with Eichel, I think he's a star, an elite level player. I just don't think he's a leader. He's one of those guys that will show up to the rink, do his thing. When he's on the ice, he'll dominate. But are you looking for him to lead your team to a finals appearance? No, you probably would look like more of a character guy like Stone or maybe Marcia Stowe or Carlson. Like, I think those guys, personality-wise, seem like less aloof and more like leaders, where I think Eichel's one of those players that's cursed with a lot of talent, but with none of the leadership ability. Just from seeing what happened in Buffalo and how bad that went, maybe that's an assumption on my part. I just think he's elite level talent with like below average leadership skills.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely think that maybe he learns a thing or two. I don't think if I was Vegas, I would definitely keep my eye open and look for the next leader. I wouldn't hope to pass it on to Eichel once Stone is gone.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be kind of the smart thing to do here. Is that I think Eichel could. You can always learn leadership skills, right? Like even in my field, you learn it. In your field, you learn it. It's something that it can be learned, but you gotta have a willingness to do so. And sometimes just certain personalities don't mesh, and he just seems a little bit more aloof. I don't know if it will stick for him, but I mean, you know what's not aloof there, Fajardo? This show, we give a lot of takes.
I was gonna go with my beard, but okay.
Yeah. Well, my beard's better, but anyway.
Well, I'm gonna lose this beard. This is going.
What?
Yeah, I'm gonna cut it off, people.
Why?
I don't know. I mean, I love the gray. I really do. That's the reason I let it grow. But I don't know. Just gonna cut it for the
I'm disappointed, but so here at the locker room, I'm Captain Paul. That's Fajardo. We're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. The channel support behind the shorts, the commentaries have been amazing. Fajardo's going to start making some shorts as well. We really do want to appreciate you for subscribing. This is fun. This has been a fun project. Me and him, like, we would used to just talk on the phone or in parties and just like talking hockey and like, hey, let's just make a freaking show about it. Let's just make content about it. Have some fun with it. And
we invite you people, anybody watching the show, to be part of this conversation. That's what it's here for. We love hockey. We love sports. And if you have something you want us to look at, you want to talk about, by all means, let us know. We're always open to talk more sports. It's fun.
Absolutely. That's actually a good thing I'll say here is that we're going to be starting to bring live shows every week. We're going to try to get a schedule set going so we can let people know beforehand. This was kind of just spur of the moment, so not as many people came through because there was no notifications. So we hope if you watch this recording, you enjoy it. Let us know any topics that you would like us to cover on the channel throughout the week.
Yeah, let us know. Also, let us know what time would work best for you guys. So that way we can consider that when making our decisions of going live. Let us know what time works for you. Before 5 o'clock, after 5 o'clock, Eastern, Western, all that stuff. Just let us know. We definitely want to have conversations. We want you guys to be part of the show. Get in the chat. Let us know. Bring up topics. We'll put the topics up. We'll take a look at everything and we'll go over it.
Absolutely. So, again, I'm Captain Paul. That's Fajardo. We appreciate you watching this video. Thank you for the support so much. We'll see you in the next episode.
Peace.